Hi, welcome to ESPN 30 for 30 Colorado College Edition. During this episode, we will be interviewing Colorado College students and athletes about constructions of race in sports. We'll be exploring people's sports heroes and their experiences at CC, and more broadly, sports in general. Let's go to Emily to get her thoughts.
Hi, Chris. I think we're going to see a lot of different outlooks from people from different sports. From the athletes, I think they will idolize people from within their own sports, and maybe notice things that we wouldn't. I don't know what to expect from the non-athletes. Let's take a look at what we found.
My favorite male tennis player is Kei Nishikori, and my favorite female tennis player is Maddie Cahill. And the stereotype of tennis is that it's mostly for wealthy white people because it's a pretty inaccessible sport.
I'd probably say my favorite athlete is Kobe Bryant, just because I've looked up to him since I was a kid. I love his work ethic. Always sets a good example. I think the stereotypical athlete is probably someone who's African American, tall, built, athletic. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
My favorite athlete is Simone Biles because I believe she's just so incredible, and I was a gymnast when I was young, and it's just amazing what she's done, and she's so determined and powerful. When I think of a stereotypical athlete, I think of someone who is very strong, defined muscles, and who typically wears athletic clothes, just always comfortable, always ready to be active.
My favorite athlete is Andres Iniesta. He's a soccer player for both the Spanish national team and Barcelona. I really love the way he plays. He's very fluid on the ball and effective in what he does. For me, it's hard to define what the stereotypical soccer athlete is because it's such a world's game. Especially in the World Cup, you see, every nation is represented, or not every nation, but a lot of nations are represented. And I think that that's one great thing about soccer is that it's so diverse and so open to anybody.
Tom Brady is my favorite athlete. And for the most part, I think athletes are very well-rounded people who are able to really manage their time very well.
Hi, my name is Jacob Miller. My favorite athlete is Lenny Dykstra for his profound impact on the game of Major League Baseball. And yeah, he's just really cool, genuine dude. Goes on Pardon My Take a lot, so he's really awesome. And then my stereotypical athlete would have to vary by sport. Like if I think of a stereotypical athlete for hockey, I would think Lily White and Canadian, or like maybe Minnesotan, but it's the same thing. And basketball would be like long, African American, really tall, probably kind of ripped. Football, same sort of deal. It just varies by sport, but yeah, that's kind of my shtick.
My favorite athlete, I would have to say, is Blake Griffin. I don't really have a good reason other than I followed him when he played in college, and he was just someone whose play style I really admired in high school, and I just really like to watch the way he plays, and I think he's just a fun player to watch and someone to try to model your game after in one way or another at least, and yeah. So what does the stereotypical athlete look like? It's a good question. I'd say it really depends on sport too. For basketball, obviously there are a decent amount of stereotypes in there. And as a basketball player myself, I've been asked a little bit about, oh, do you play basketball? You're tall and you're black. Yes, but originally I played hockey, which is really contrary. So for hockey players, typically you wouldn't picture a black guy playing hockey as more a sport that you would typically see white people playing. But in fact, there's a lot of black hockey players out there as well. Same with track. I think it just, again, really depends on the sport and personal experience. I think everyone has their own perception of what a stereotypical athlete would look like with regards to the sport that they play or enjoy watching.
You're getting a lot of fans here. A lot of them are female, and they want to know if you could date anyone in the world. Who would you date?
Any response to recent comments about your girlish figure?
Are you serious?
Removing your body hair gives you an edge in the pool. How about your love life?
weight gain affected your mobility. I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know what you're talking about.
Have you heard the controversy over your helmet hair?
Get ready to see some great biceps, tiny tanks, and more. I wonder if his dad said to him when he was younger, listen, you're never going to be a Looker, you're never going to be a Beckham, so you have to compensate for that.
He really does have the kind of body international judges love.
Could you give us a twirl and tell us about your outfit?
What? Bro, what are you talking about, man? Bro, I'm out, man.
Can you give us a twirl and tell us about your outfit?
A twirl, like...
A twirl, a pirouette. Here we go.
My favorite athlete is Russell Westbrook, who's the point guard for the OKC Thunder, and he's my favorite because I think he just really embodies greatness and athleticism. The stereotypical athlete looks like a black male who's very strong and tall.
My favorite athlete is LeBron James because he's a stud and I've looked up to him since I was little and he's a good guy. My stereotypical athlete is someone that's tall, looks fast, broad shoulders, long wingspan. Someone just looks like they can compete.
Alright, so my favorite athlete is Michael Phelps. Just because of the last Olympics and hearing his story in interviews, I thought he was pretty cool. Some things that come to mind when I think of athlete is muscular, fit, usually fast, wealthy. Sometimes they're kind and sometimes they're not. And championships, I guess.
My favorite athlete's probably Lionel Messi. Because I think he's like the best soccer player to ever live, and a lot of people probably agree with that. Generally, I think of athletes as, I think the stereotype of athletes is that they're like arrogant and like think of themselves and stuff, but that's not true. Like athletes can be like humble, like Lionel Messi.
My favorite athlete, I would have to say, is Roger Federer. And partially that's because I myself am a tennis player and can appreciate how good he is at tennis, but also I feel that he is one of the most dominant athletes in his field because I feel like he is more of an outlier than anyone else in their respective sport. And to me, what characterizes an athlete is, I think height has something to do with it, because I feel that a lot of professional athletes aren't below like 6 feet, and I feel that strength and speed are also characterizing of a lot of professional athletes. And so when I myself think of a professional athlete, I think of someone who's tall and strong and fast.
One of my favorite athletes is Misty May Trainer. She's a 3-time Olympic gold medalist for beach volleyball. She's one of my favorite athletes because she's kind of on the shorter side for volleyball, but she overcomes that a lot and is still very powerful in the front and back row. And as someone who's kind of shorter in volleyball, I resonate with that and look up to things like that. To me, the stereotypical athlete is someone who is tall. I feel like a lot of athletes are associated with being tall, especially in volleyball. Also, I think when I think of athletes, I think of people who are very lean but are still very muscular, so they have a very proportional body.
My favorite athlete is Julian Edelman for the New England Patriots. For women's lacrosse, probably that it's not very rough and it's kind of boring. And from a spectator's
perspective, I beg to differ because I think it's definitely a contact sport, and I think it has a lot of intricacies that people don't really recognize.
Favorite athlete is Jesse Owens because he was a great athlete that was able to defeat a lot of odds, such as records and racial barriers. Stereotypes in sports, so when I think sports, first thing that comes to mind is track. And so when I think of that, I just think of Jamaica and track, how they were just really good in the Olympics, and they won a lot.
We bring our Kramers everywhere.
Doing homework.
Making dinner.
Doing laundry.
While skiing.
ESPN.
One argues that there are 18.
Riding your bike.
Waiting for the bus.
After you walk up the stairs.
Water bottle, so everyone knows you're an athlete.
My favorite athlete's Lindsey Vonn. The stereotypes of a lacrosse player are usually people who are typically white and of higher class play lacrosse. They kind of have a perceived look as in cocky, long hair, for boys or girls, backwards hats, kind of stuff like that. Not the best stereotype though.
Hey Jamal. I guess my favorite athlete would be Rafael Nadal, the tennis player. He's really tan, he's super hot. I guess when I think of athletes, I think of guys who are really built, really athletic, but objectively I know it's not always true.
Serena Williams. Loud, rich, and obnoxious.
My favorite athlete is Brenda Martinez. She's an 800-meter runner, track runner. I think that stereotypes are kind of that it's a sport for affluent white people in suburbia, and they're usually pretty nerdy and type A.
I think my favorite athlete would be George W. Bush. That one pitch he threw after 9/11 was really impressive, especially for an old white guy. Stereotypes I think of for athletes are don't care about school that much, not really academic, and jacked.
Sorry, I'll see you later.
Check Racer! Check Racer! Get ready for the pain, woman! The pain train is coming! Follow! Listen there! Please don't hurt me! Please don't hurt me! Thank you, sir! Thank you!
My favorite athlete is Mia Hamm because she's a soccer player, which is the sport I play, and she's a woman who's excelled in her sport. I see athletes as people who put sports first, which is requires a lot of dedication, but they can sometimes slack off in other areas. My favorite athlete is Jemmy Stone. She's an Olympic rower and was actually one of the first people to teach me how to row in a cruise shell when I was about 12 years old. She has a really great can-do, work-hard attitude, and she is currently working on her residency and put off her med school degree to row. And I think she's just a really great example of balance and female empowerment. For me, I think there isn't really a stereotypical athlete. You could think of a stereotypical football player, but I think athletes take all shapes and sizes. Oftentimes I'm surprised by friends who do fencing or archery and yet they're still athletes. And then I also have friends who have played football or soccer and are, like, I would say America's more stereotypical athletes, but everyone can fit into the athlete category.
Tiger Woods. They're all dickheads.
At Passages Malibu, we treat and heal the underlying causes of addiction so you can live a healthy, addiction-free life. This is not a 12-step program. This works. I should know. I was an addict for 10 years. Now I'm not.
Here at Passages Malibu, we can help with your addiction that includes things like double-fisting red Solo cups, drinking in front of students, drinking midday at a sporting event, and constantly saying out loud that you might have a drinking problem to your students. If any of these reminds you of yourself or a loved one, please
call 888-520-CURE and end your addiction now.
Well, this just about concludes our ESPN 30 for 30 Colorado College edition.
We found that a lot of the athletes thought the stereotypical athlete was tall, strong, and big.
And a lot of the non-athletes thought that they didn't really care about school or weren't good at school.
We also found that nobody had the same favorite athlete.
I think that's just about it. And thank you for stopping by.